Hello people, passers-by and pipsqueaks. I'm so glad you dropped by and listened. And I'm also sorry, so sorry, that it's been so long since I uploaded. One of the reasons I'm so unshaven and disgusting is that this rather odd website or article has caught my eye, and they do have something more important to talk about, a criticism of YouTube as per usual. But since my last upload, which was forever ago, was criticising YouTube, I didn't want two in a row. So this is a good means of diversion, if you like. Now, I have in the past made videos reacting to usually other videos, sometimes to lyrics and sometimes to stories in the news. This is the only occasion where I'm reacting to a blog, or at least an article within a blog. I'm not going to tell you the website's name because I don't really want you to trouble him. Well, I say trouble him. Nobody watches me really, so who cares? I'm talking about the alt-right, which is it's a new Americanism about that's come about to describe a good portion of the people that are supporting Donald Trump at the moment. Not necessarily socially conservatives, and not necessarily have they always been politically conservative. They just have an assortment of very peculiar ideas, and what strikes me about this alt-right website is that as you look at the outer picture that introduces you to it, it's got lovely pictures of hills and valleys with various Pokemon at the front, and right over the hills is a rather ghostly figure of Adolf Hitler. And if you look at the thing long enough and carefully enough, he winks at you. Interesting personality. I ought to explain really how this all came about. I know what I was doing. I was looking on Google Images for pyjamas. Well, I need more. And a little way down, I saw a picture. It was a boy playing on a Game Boy or whatever, Pokemon Go, something like that. 80s child alert. He was playing on this little thing here, a game, looking perfectly normal, and right next to him, a boy, you couldn't tell it was a boy, who was showing off his favourite nightdress, and it's a nightdress with Princess Jasmine from Aladdin on it, and it's pink. And I thought, okay, what's all this about? Went in and got a picture of Adolf Hitler staring at me, albeit from a distance. Oh, and Pokemon as well. Lightens up the mood. The heading of it is Hell Arrives. Camp designed to indoctrinate little boys into homosexuality. Okay. The initial picture I'll show you. Have a look at the fashion parade. Nice little girl there, isn't it? Dressed as a fairy or princess. But then underneath, if you look at it carefully enough, it becomes clear that it's actually a boy. Not that dressing a boy strangely I would have thought would be enough to turn him gay, but you know, what do I know? I've never tried to turn a child gay. Wouldn't know where to start. There's a rather peculiar heading that says, "Can you believe these Jews?" What Jews? Could anything possibly be more awful than this? What's next? I haven't read the entire thing yet, but I think that much was enough to make me want to turn the thing on and explain to you. As I say, I do have a more serious video lined up, which I'll probably upload tomorrow, because once again, I'm not happy with YouTube, but this will sort of soften the blow, so to speak. First paragraph. David Rosenberg, a Jew writer at Slate magazine. You usually say Jewish writer. I think by saying a Jew writer, it implies he wants you to actually realise he doesn't see it in a nice way. Actually, there's a picture, another picture to the right of this one, which is a picture of Pepe the Frog, but his eyes are red with swastikas in them in place of pupils. I'm not sure I particularly want to delve too far into the author's psychology here. So, the Jew writer at Slate magazine has written a glowing review of a boys' camp designed to brainwash prepubescent children into the homosexual lifestyle, and the sickening woman who takes homopedophilic pictures of it. Give me one moment. Alright, I've just read the Jew Writers Slate magazine his article on the subject of this thing that I'm about to talk about. And indeed, it is a sort of gender-bending kind of. I think it's called "You Are You." Actually, having seen the picture up close that I thought was a person playing on a Game Boy thing, or a Pokemon Go thing, it's actually well, it couldn't have been Pokemon Go because in 2013 I don't believe it existed. It's actually seeing it up close. It's a boy with a little mirror and he's applying makeup to himself. So I didn't see that correctly at all. One questions the wisdom of putting their pictures on the internet and so on, so that all and sundry can see. The problem is, of course, you get interesting characters like this that assume that the people that take pictures of them are paedophiles, and that the people that encourage them are all Jews, which seems to me peculiar. Oh, this is so difficult to read. I've just seen it further down. From the article entitled "A Boys' Camp to Redefine Gender." Over the past 3 years, a photographer, Lindsay Morris, has been documenting a 4-day camp for gender non-conforming boys. What the heck is a gender non-conforming boy? Surely, when little boys, even unencouraged, will play with wooden blocks instead of baby dolls and so on. We've seen this. Never mind. And their parents. The camp You Are You, the name has been changed to protect the privacy of the children. Oh, great idea about putting the pictures up there then. Whatever. And is also the name of Morris's series, who is for parents who don't have a gender-confirming 3-year-old, what the heck does that mean, who wants to wear high heels and prefers to go down the pink aisle in Kmart and not that nasty dark boys aisle. Nasty dark boys aisle? I'm guessing they mean dark as in sinister, but sinister boys aisle. It is a place for both parents and children to protect. This is actually a quotation from the original review. It's not the alt-right Nazi that's talking now, said with a laugh. It is also a place for both. I'm making fun of them both at the same time, really. I'm making fun of both this weirdo that's quoting it, and I'm making fun of the idea. It is also a place for both parents and children to feel protected in an environment that encourages free expression. Let's go with this idea of gender non-conforming children. What if one of them conforms a little bit more than the others? What if one of them isn't quite as effeminate? Maybe likes the fashion parade and so on, and likes the flamboyant pink suits and so on, but doesn't want to wear a skirt and says that it's stupid to wear a skirt. I mean, are you going to encourage that kind of expression? Or are you going to ban that kind of hate speech, in which case it isn't free expression? Blurred line, as Robin Thicke said. The kids don't have to look over their shoulders. I've always been puzzled by that expression. Don't have to look down their shoulders. What if they do have to? They can let down their guard. Another strange expression. There are 4 days when none of that matters, and they are surrounded by family members who support them, Morris said. What I wonder is the point of a camp if you're not escaping your parent, and secondly, I just cannot picture the idea of parents going to watch young boys doing fashion parade in pink dresses. I really can't. I'm not sure what to think, to be honest. Morris has stated that her photographic goal for the project is to represent the spirit of these boys as they shine. That is odd. Again, I reiterate, I don't understand why it is that if you want to protect the identity of the camp by changing its name, why you would then publicly put the pictures of the boys up there while they're dressed as princesses. And say they encourage them to dress that way. Is it because they came out of the womb pretty much being effeminate, so they decided to dress them accordingly? Is it because they were dressing up in mummy's clothing or older sister's clothing, and mummy and daddy said okay? Or is it the parents dressing them that way? A whole host of questions comes through one's mind, and wants to have a live and let live attitude about it, but one really wonders. Some practice for the talent show all year. What a sad lifestyle. For 4 days of your life to prepare all year. and others create their own gowns with their mothers or friends of their families, so it is the mothers encouraging them, Morris said. The focus, and I only read this as euthanasia, enthusiasm is pretty incredible. Also, it can be very emotional for the parents, especially the families who are new to camp and are experiencing this kind of group acceptance for the very first time. Now, I realise that for a lot of people, I say one person, perhaps, because hardly anybody watches me at all, will be listening to my sarcastic tone and calling me an utter bigot, whatever. I hope I redeem myself now by reading what this interesting character who thinks that they're behaving this way because they're photographed by paedophiles and Jews, he takes it to another level. So his opening reaction to everything I've just read is, who but a Jew could praise such a thing as this in these terms? Uncle, who's a retired drag queen. And there's a nice little picture of troll dolls here dressed up as Hitler with little moustaches. Lovely. As prepubescent children are not yet experiencing sexual desires, yes they are, that first kiss, will know, there is simply no way they could be choosing to be transgendered homosexuals. Well, transgender suggests you're trying to become something other than what you are when... They truly are expressing transgenderism, a psychotic mental illness. Not all transgender people are psychotic. I mean, it can happen. I mean, we've all seen Silence of the Lambs. They will need to be treated medically. In his little world, that probably would be castration with estrogen, which would actually make them grow fake breasts anyway. Almost always, this would be a result of sexual abuse, and as the parents sending their children to this camp are encouraging, and I bet you want to send them to another camp, don't you? Are encouraging and endorsing the idea of turning their boys into lunatic wrecks, it is most likely that they are responsible for the sexual abuse. I'm puzzled now, so that you make the leap from the parents sexually abuse them, so they decide to dress up in women's clothing. I've never heard that narrative before, ever. Well, I mean, I've heard it theorised, but I've never heard it coming into reality. Purposefully destroying a child in this way, utterly crushing their souls, is the worst possible form of child abuse I can imagine. Now, all of this would be a respectable point of view if it was an ordinary conservative making the point. But I've just fleetingly read ahead in the next paragraph. It says, the pictures that this Morris person, she must be a Jew. What? Look of these kids show that they are being purposefully sexualized in the way that they do little girls at these Jean-Benet Ramsey, I don't know who that is, style pedo pageants, proving that the whole thing is entirely paedophilic in nature. Oh, yeah. I just can't hardly even take it anymore. How does that sentence make grammatical sense? How could anything be more vile than this? Actually being a paedophile, maybe? Actually sexualizing them? Sending them to a concentration camp if they're Jews or transsexuals? They could be more vile. But I guess the gassing of Jews and homosexuals is probably something you don't believe happened. Where is the outrage? I think you're expressing it fairly virulently here, and actually so did I to a lesser extent, but never mind. How can you look at these images and not feel a deeply rooted primal drive to annihilate the satanic creatures who are doing this to our people? Okay. Let me repeat that. Primal drive to annihilate satanic creatures. So not prosecute, annihilate. Or does he mean it lawfully? This is sinister stuff. To give your life, to give anything you have, fighting for that minuscule piece that remains of who we once were. Who were we then? When is enough going to be enough, white man? Okay, so he's actually designing this whole thing for white men. I get a tan in the summer. Do I count? The Jews are trying their very hardest to again with the Jews are trying their very hardest to maximise the number of homosexuals in our society. Yeah, that really would be to their interest, wouldn't it? Because there'd be so many of them if everyone turned gay. In order to break down the social fabric to an even greater extent than they already have. Okay, so the world is run by Jews who won't rule it any longer after everybody turns gay and fails to reproduce. Their plan is to leave you with absolutely nothing of what your ancestors gave you, white man. Hang on, the white man's ancestor was a black man in Africa. Sorry to break it to you. So our ancestors, the black man gave you the white man to leave you with absolutely nothing. So we can't take, so not only can we not take the pigment of the black man, but we can't take any of the Jew man's ideas. Even molecular biology, I presume. While the Jews are doing what you can see in these pictures, I'm not going to show them to you, like I said, because I showed you the first one. That'll do for now, I think. Because I want to protect the identity of everyone involved, really. In these pictures to our children. No, they're the children of the parents that took them there. Weird alternative parents, I grant you. Unusual, unorthodox parents. And in your eyes, I suppose, Jewish parents, but not our children necessarily. We established that we don't know quite where they got these ideas. Well, I say we. I questioned it. You made the assumption. You sickening, spineless cowards have the nerve to tell me how important it is that your identity remains secret because you're afraid the Jews are going to get you. No, I'm not. Sitting there at your computer, guilty as charged, jacking off to Jew porno. Don't think so. And playing Jew video games. Well, I played Sega Mega Drive's Aladdin once, but I think he's meant to be a fictional Muslim. Does that count? I mean, actually, I never asked Sonic which religion he is, but I don't think he's got anything down there, so I don't think he's circumcised. Arguing anonymously, about religion and media fakery. Okay, so I'm doing all these things at the same time, am I? Let's just retract that, shall we? Go back. So I deny the Jews are out to get me, but I'm afraid of them. I'm sitting at my computer jacking off to Jew porn, playing Jew video games, arguing anonymously about religion and media fakery all at the same time. And they say that men can't multitask. But I guess he's assuming that other alt-right or neo-Nazi people are reading this, so maybe it really isn't aimed at me. In fact, I'm definitely sure it isn't. Jews already have you. Okay, fine. This is what they are going to do to our children, he says again. There is no more future. Well, no, definitely not, because we're all going to turn gay and then we can't reproduce anymore. Unless we donate our sperm to a lesbian. There isn't anything left to be afraid of. It is now or never, white man. So we have to annihilate them all, as he says. Oh, but then he says, may God have mercy on us all. Okay, so God will punish them. Or will he? I mean, this is what I don't get. Do we leave it to God, or do we assume it's going to work out itself, or do we annihilate them, or... Let's just see who is Oh, nobody's commenting. It's interesting. Next part down says, deplorable kike faggot Milo, that's Milo Yiannopoulos, says alt-right is not a misogynist, hateful, racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic basket. I've got to actually read this. Oh right, I've just briefly read it, or basically saying, well, he's glad that Milo Yiannopoulos, a conservative writer who self-identifies as a faggot and does have Jewish blood in him, is that the alt-right are not misogynistic, hateful, racist, homophobic, anti-Semitic. He's just writing everything down saying, yes, I am. Okay, fine, got it. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, I've got a lot more to say about YouTube, because it's changing in ways I don't like, as usual. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed my little read of this interesting character.